Falkenberg, no more Taylor Swift. Time to get busy. Gotta get these notes done.
All right, Freddie and I are talking about Yorktown today, the final battle. Cornwallis is part A. Clinton went to New York and he put Cornwallis in charge of all the South. Cornwallis had Hessians, freed slaves, and Tories in his army. Now remember, the whole purpose of going to the South was to get more support from the people, from Tories, but this backfires because the Tories killed a bunch of innocent people, and then the Hessians did a lot of looting, and this turned many Southerners against Britain. Cornwallis then spends 6 months chasing Nathaniel Greene, Philin Greene, all over North and South Carolina, and a lot of fighting was done in the swamps. Okay, next slide. Cornwallis won every one of these battles, but he lost a lot of men. Now, Cornwallis is in Wilmington, North Carolina, when Clinton sends him the order to go to Yorktown. And the next bullet, Yorktown is on a peninsula. That's going to be important a little bit later. Okay, part B, let's go to Washington's plan. Okay, he meets with two French leaders. I will spell these on the board for you. Admiral de Grasse, who had 29 ships, and Lieutenant General Rochambeau, who was sent over personally by King Louis XVI to help George Washington. De Grasse defeats the British in Chesapeake Bay and cuts off Cornwallis' supply line and his only escape. Remember, he's stuck on a peninsula now. Now, Rochambeau and Marquis de Lafayette, and I will put that on the board also, march to the peninsula. The Marquis de Lafayette. Next slide. Lafayette was a French volunteer. He was only 20 years old. He came over here and joined the American cause way before France joined the American cause. He believed in the American cause, and he came over way before the rest of before the country recognized us and decided to be our ally. So Lafayette is a pretty popular guy in America, hence many things are named for him, like Lafayette, Indiana, and I went to kindergarten at a school called Lafayette Park Elementary. All right, next bullet. George Washington pretends he is going to attack New York City. Okay, he pretends he's going to attack Clinton in New York City, but he circles around and goes to Yorktown. Now, back in those days, there's no satellites, there's no GPS, no radar, none of the modern technologies, so Washington's trick works. Next bullet. By the time Washington gets there, there are 17,000 Americans and French, and Cornwallis is down to 8,000 men. The French started to blast the British lines of cannons, and then the U.S. and French troops successfully attacked the trenches around Cornwallis's camp. Now, Freddie, what is the famous date that's going to happen during fall break that Cornwallis surrenders? October 19th. October 19th, and the year is 1781. The British troops laid down their arms and they played a little kid song. What was it, Freddie? Ooh, Yankee Doodle. Oh, Freddie, you missed one. They played World Turned Upside Down. World Turned Upside Down. The next slide is a map. Let's go on to the slide after that. Clinton was headed to Yorktown by ship. Clinton finally figured out that Washington had tricked him. So Clinton loaded up 7,000 men on ships and was headed to Yorktown. But when he got news of the surrender, he turned around. He didn't bother to go there because he knew he would, be trapped too. So Clinton turned around with his 7,000 men and did not bother to go to Yorktown. The Prime Minister, and fill in Lord North, just like the direction, Lord North, resigned on the news of the surrender at Yorktown. The Parliament then decided it was time to negotiate peace because they felt the war was not worth continuing. Okay, now that's a lot to fill in. They decided to negotiate peace because they felt the war was not worth continuing. The war is now basically over. Okay, now, there were a few small battles after that, nothing significant, no battles worth remembering, but the war wasn't officially over, but it was practically over. Okay, just like the fourth quarter of a football game and the Colts are losing 49-7 and there's 4 minutes to go, they're still going to play the 4 minutes, but everyone knows the game's over. Okay, 13 states, fill in, had defeated the top world power. This was a stunning loss. Now, the next bullet is a long one again. George Washington's main importance to the war is keeping the cause alive. Okay, keeping the cause alive when many people wanted to give up, and keeping his army together long enough to force Britain to give up. And I'll repeat that one more time. Keeping the cause alive when many wanted to give up, and keeping his army together long enough to force Britain to give up. George Washington is like that coach of a losing team. Okay, it's really easy to coach a team, like our 8th grade football this year, undefeated. Yeah, it's really easy to be the coach. It's fun to be the coach of that team. But think about last year's 8th grade that didn't win a game. It probably wasn't too fun to be that coach. His toughest job was, probably to try to keep the team together, keep them focused. Not an easy task, okay? All right, last slide, Roman numeral 8, the Treaty of Paris, okay? Now, sometimes you guys probably realize that Congress works really slow and governments work really slow. Well, that last battle, or last big battle, I should say, was in 1781. The peace treaty put down was not finished until 1783, okay? Our diplomats, Ben Franklin, John Adams, John Jay. Those are names we've talked about several times before. By the way, Thomas Jefferson this time said no. Why do you think Jefferson refused to do it? Ooh, he figured he'd get stuck doing all the work like he did on the Declaration. That is correct, Freddie. Jefferson figured he'd get stuck with all the work, so he wouldn't do it. All right, number 1, independence is granted. Okay, that's huge. They give us our independence. We are a country. Number 2, this is the shocking thing. We were given all the land east of the Mississippi, except Florida. Okay, now, this is basically the old French territory, and I will show you this on a map. But let me put it like this. We asked for that land. We never thought they would give it to us. Okay, if your dad goes to buy a car, and the car says $36,000 on the window sticker, and your dad decides, I'll pay $32,000, I won't pay $36,000. Now, is your dad going to say, I'll give you $32,000? Is that going to be his first offer? Of course not, because then the salesman's going to say, well, I'll go down to $34,000. Okay, you guys have probably seen Pawn Stars and seen a similar thing going on. Okay, so let's say your dad wants to pay $32,000 for the car. He's going to start out by a ridiculous amount going, I'll give you $26,000. And then he expects the salesman to say, okay, $34,000. And then your dad goes $28,000. The salesman goes $33,000. And then your dad goes $31,000. And then the salesman goes, let's do $32,000. And your dad goes, agreed. Okay. What if your dad said $26,000 and the salesman said, okay. All right. He'd be shocked. And that's how we were when we got all that old French land. We were shocked that they went ahead and said yes and gave it to us. All right, number 3, not a real big deal to us today, but we were allowed to fish in Canadian waters. Number 4, this is huge. You got to remember this one in the future. Britain promised to get out or withdraw from all the forts in the United States. They promised to get out of all the forts that they had in the United States. Wink, wink, they won't do it. Number 5, we promised, the Second Continental Congress promised that Tories would be given fair pay for what was taken from them. They would get fair pay. Guess what? We didn't do that either. Okay? All right. That wraps up the War for Independence. And you know what? General Howe, remember, probably is the biggest reason they lost the war. So I wonder if King George said, "Look what you made me do." Thank you.